So hi there. My name is Stuart Macmanus, and I work for Seetec Pluss, primarily as a training and wellbeing facilitator. But I also sort of take the lead on neurodiversity projects and looking at mental health and inclusion in general, really. And was asked to come on today to talk to you about sort of how inclusion evolves, continuously evolves, and how we're always sort of thinking outside the box and thinking on our feet, really, as part of the journey. If I could have the first slide, please, that would be great. So as it says on the slide there, it all started with a chat, and I was talking just randomly with the CEO for Employability and Health with Seetec Pluss. We run things like the Restart program, the Work and Health program, and we were chatting about neurodiversity in general. Both of us have a very personal interest in this. My eldest child has quite high functioning Asperger's, so it's a subject that I'm sort of hugely passionate about, especially having to sort of guide him through his young life to where he is now, where he's finally sort of moved into work and has got his own place. It's been a battle, and I wanted to make sure that we could try and make a bit of a difference so that other people didn't have the same battles that we faced with that. And realised that the CEO of our company was in a very, very similar position, and we had a really sort of open and honest conversation about just how poorly understood neurodiversity still is, and how, you know, a very sort of, there is a gaping sort of hole there with terms of support and understanding, and still a fear attached to it, you know, with people that don't understand it very well. So it was a random conversation. If I could have the next slide, please. And it led to an in-depth conversation about how we could support our own colleagues better. You know, we do these wonderful things for participants on our programs, but how were we actually looking after our colleagues? You know, we've got some 2,000 people that work for Seetec Group as a whole. And if you go by the statistics that are around today, you know, that's sort of in excess of 300 people that will have an actual diagnosis in neurodiversity. But it's probably more likely to be around about 400 to 500 people within the company that will be struggling with the day-to-day difficulties associated with neurodiversity. It might not necessarily be autism, but it might be dyslexia, dyspraxia, it might be Tourette's or something like that. So there are so many conditions within the actual sort of umbrella of neurodiversity that we need to be looking after people better. And, you know, we wanted to look at how we were doing that, and what support was available to people, what we could do better, just to make sure that the actual colleague journey within Seetec Pluss and within Seetec Group as a whole is better for people, so that we actually retain staff better, so that we're utilising their skills a little bit better, and supporting people properly within their environment at work and beyond, really, as well. Similar conversations were had around things like mental health as well. Another thing that is sort of a huge passion of mine and something that I take the lead on quite often, making sure that the people that are struggling with things like that. So again, 500 plus people, you could say, within our company would be struggling on a day-to-day basis with long-term mental health problems. That's not including the short-term problems that would be sort of created around, you know, day-to-day working job roles, you know, where something comes up and it causes that anxiety for you. So again, it was looking at everything as a whole. If I could have the next slide, please. This then led to Seetec Group, HR department, looking at it and going, actually, are we doing enough? Are we actually supporting people well enough within the company? And I was invited to join the group looking at our inclusion strategy and coming up with ways of doing things a little bit better. So it was recognising what we do and what we do well, but it was sort of going a little bit deeper and looking at what we could do that was a little bit better. This included things like, you know, managers' toolboxes, to make sure that they've got all of the things available to them to be able to, you know, to help people that come into their team or that are already on their team that are struggling with some of these inclusive conditions that we've spoken about. Setting up things like focus groups, you know, so that we're actually looking at neurodiversity as a whole, looking at mental health as a whole, making sure that we've got those networks in place to be able to support people a little bit better, and so that we can actually put those changes into place. Peer support groups as well for staff. We do so much of this for participants on our programs, but, you know, are we actually doing that for our own staff? You know, it's kind of practicing what you preach, really, I guess. So it was looking at setting up those so that people that have got neurodiversity neurodivergent conditions can actually have somewhere to go to be able to share that with people. It might be people that want to be able to support people better, that want to join in with those groups, so that they can actually have a better understanding coming straight from people that are struggling with those things day to day. Job carving, looking at things like that, playing to the strengths of the team, so that you might have somebody within the team that's particularly good at one thing but has an anxiety attached to something else. How do we utilize the strengths of that? So it's looking at things like the recruitment process, the onboarding process, and the continuation of the journey while you're employed with us, and making sure that we're getting it right, and focusing on those groups that are maybe sort of underrepresented or not quite as sort of fully understood. And like I said, neurodiversity kind of plays a massive role in that. And it's trying to get it right. It's trying to see that from a business perspective, we could actually perform even better if we were supporting our staff better. When you look at like the environmental side of things, there's somebody within my own local office that struggles quite a lot with ADHD and the symptoms that go with that. That requested just a quiet area where they could actually stand and do their work quietly in a corner somewhere. So we looked at things like that and how to develop those kind of things, and then looking at that company wide and thinking, have we got the spaces within our offices to be able to provide that company wide rather than just sort of individual offices as a whole. So the whole kind of scope is, I should say, being looked at, not was, because it's something that I'm working on at the moment, and it's making sure that we put those things into place. So if I can have the final slide, please. It was just to share with all of you today, that inclusion in general is an ever-evolving process. We've got so many things that we get right, but there are so many things that we still need to do. It's something that will never stop developing. It's learning how to do things better, but it's also learning from the people that are struggling with those things to do better. So it comes down to listening a lot more, supporting our own teams, providing an inclusive environment and a working platform that will enhance the business as well. It won't just make it better for them, it will actually enhance the business, for you. It will increase the productivity. If we get those people in the right places and they're comfortable doing what they do, then their productivity is going to go up. So even if you put your corporate hat on and you put your business hat on, you're going to realize that actually it's going to be beneficial for you as a whole as well. There are so many incredible people out there. They have got these unique skills, and it's just trying to make sure that we're unlocking that. So even as a disability confident leader, Seetec are still every day looking at how we're doing, how we could do things better, and evolving what we do on a day-to-day basis. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys today, was that we are, continuously looking at ways of doing things better. We're joining forces with other people. We're learning from other groups how they do things to make sure that we can provide that support not only to our participants but actually to our staff as well. Because at the end of the day, if we get it right with our own people, we're going to get it right with with the people that we're trying to support on our programs. So thank you for letting me come on and chat to you guys today, and happy to discuss further if anyone wanted to after today. Thank you very much.